Hello, sisters. It's a tremendous honor to address the membership of Delta Phi Epsilon, delegates and collegiate members, alumni, international headquarters staff, and members of the Housing, Educational Foundation, and International Governing Boards, along with my Gamma chapter sisters and my friends and family, many of whom are DFers, or in the case of my husband and sons, D for dudes. I'm Roxanne Donovan, the incoming international president, and I address you via video today, adapting this grand chapter since we can't meet in Orlando as we'd long planned. Every one of us is mourning gatherings and milestone celebrations that were canceled this year, as well as losses from the pandemic. I hope that you're able to find some comfort, as I do, in knowing that DPHI will always be a place where you can meet your sisters, can share your dreams about the future, about a vibrant, exciting future, which is what I'm going to try and do today. I want to begin my address by thanking Stacy Siegel for her many years of leadership. As international president of the sorority, she helped guide DPHI through a remarkable period of growth and celebration. She's a great listener, and she kept us nimble and responsive, open to improvement, as evidenced by the new policies we have regarding wellness and membership and diversity. She traveled across the country to help our chapters mark our centennial, and she strengthened our boards and represented us at National Pan-Hellenic Council with grace, intelligence, and integrity. We're so fortunate for her dedication and her service, and I'm thrilled and relieved to announce that Stacy will continue to represent DPHI on NPC's Council of Delegates. She's the embodiment of our pillars and our values, and she'll stand up for what we believe and who we are in that governing body. Next, I'd like to thank all of you for your confidence in the nominating committee and for electing me to the position of international president. I want to take a moment to share my Delta Phi Epsilon story with you and then give you a sense of what you're in for, what my goals are for the sorority in the next biennium. I joined DPHI's recently recolonized Gamma chapter at Syracuse University in the fall of 1982 as a freshman. I skipped formal rush, but I visited the house during open bidding. We were always good at COB. I had grown up on stories about DPHI because my mom, Toby Tamarkin, my auntie Diane Brightman, and my cousin Roz Biederman were sisters of Sigma chapter at The Ohio State University. I knew the songs, the traditions, and I also knew that the women were extraordinary. In my mother's day and in mine, the women of Delta Phi Epsilon were diverse and interesting and smart and driven. They were and still are keen to live their true lives, fulfill their promise, achieve their goals, and never settle. I was hooked. Plus, I think they had to accept me because I was a triple legacy. While I was in the sorority, I earned an editor position at the school newspaper. I held at least, usually 3 part-time jobs at all times, ran hospitality for the concert board, and helped care for a little sister through the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization. I was also on the chapter's LT as VP, served as master of ceremonies for the Greek Council's huge annual dance marathon, was a proud Alpha Chi Rho little sister, and I never missed a party. My sisters gave me the support and confidence, the home base, that enabled me to seize every opportunity in a much bigger way than I believe I could have all alone. Even more, I believe to my core that my sorority sisters saved my life and helped set me on the path to the life I have today. See, by the time I was a senior, I ran out of money for college. No matter how many jobs, how many loans and scholarships I secured, I was cutting it too close. I had to move out of the sorority house. I could barely afford tuition and rent, and I didn't know how I would pay for anything else. I was struggling. I was going to have to deactivate because I couldn't afford dues, and I was going to need to get by on my own. I was frantic, but not for long. I stopped by the house that first week back at school, arriving conveniently around dinner, and I really did expect to be asked to leave. Instead, I was welcomed to the table, and for lunch and dinner the next day, and the next, and the next, and for late night study sessions and pizza, and Jane Fonda workouts in the living room, and parties at night, and wake-up parties in the morning, don't ask, and formals, and bid day, and more dinners. In the winter, when I didn't show up for 2 days in a row, my sisters Hillary Palatnik and Lisa Peters came to find me. sick, weak, and dehydrated in my apartment. They took me to the health center, and then they took me into their own home to care for me till I was better. That entire year, nobody ever said anything to me other than welcome home. I still can't believe how lucky I was to have those women on my side and have Delta Phi Epsilon as my safety net. And I'm sure many of you have that same feeling. For me, I'll never forget it, and I'll never be able to adequately express my thanks. I have tried becoming an early and regular donor to the Ed Foundation, and then expanding my service to the Foundation Board and now the International Governing Board, taking on the role of president. When I think back to my 20-year-old self, when I was called Roxy Ramone, had a flock of seagulls hairdo, and mad keg-tapping skills, I know that young woman would never imagine she'd be installed as international president of the sorority. She also might not have known she'd go on to be a reporter at one of the nation's biggest newspapers, establish a leading public relations firm, help create a lung cancer research foundation that drove life-extending treatments, join the boards of education and human rights philanthropies that make the world a better place, and raise a family. But hey, I dream big, and it has led me to this moment when I have the chance to give back to DPHI at one of the most challenging periods of our history. So now that you know a little bit about who I am and why I want to serve as your international president, let me tell you what I hope to accomplish with my big dreams now. My top priority is to secure the sorority's survival through the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. I am dedicated to helping plan for and secure the resources that will enable DPHI to continue to provide for its membership and come out even stronger on the other side of this crazy, scary, uncertain time. Our boards are committed to helping find new ways to serve our women and deliver a true sorority experience despite the distance between us. Each of us is going to have to do more personally as we confront the reality of a dramatically reduced budget. It's not just about keeping the lights on at IHQ, though that's important. It's about keeping our sisterhood safe and relevant and rich and meaningful and impactful for our membership. In addition, we must also continue to be the beacon for the very best aspects of sorority life, even as the value of the Greek system is regularly questioned. Fortunately, we have 3 very strong boards and brave, talented leadership at headquarters, so I know I am not alone in this, and I know we will prevail. Survival's key, but I actually want to do more. I want to honor our founders and each and every one of you by making the sorority better. First, better by being more diverse and inclusive. Delta Phi Epsilon's new DEI policy, championed by board members and DEI committee chair Vashtina Boyce, is extremely strong. It offers a lot more than hopes and prayers, which is what we need. We are putting real action into it, changing our policy manual, creating new programs and procedures to make every chapter more representative of the real world. We're going to line up financial support for different membership fees and dues to make our sisterhood more accessible to a broader field of new members. We're going to make changes to our hiring and talent management at headquarters. And we're going to wrap new ideas into recruitment to open our doors even wider and establish social justice initiatives to broaden our minds. On the issue of inclusion, we agreed at Grand Chapter to make changes in the language of our bylaws to bring them into compliance with our policy on membership for transgender and non-binary members. This policy, spearheaded by board member Lynn Doe, is a remarkable accomplishment. I am so proud that we have the most progressive and inclusive membership policy for transgender and non-binary members of any of the 26 members of NPC. I also want to address our legacy policy, which we revised 2 years ago. It is a standout with regard to enabling diversity. As a legacy myself, raised bleeding purple and gold, I believe we must honor our past, but absolutely not at the price of a true and just future. I'm very proud that our legacy policy ensures that we have a diverse membership dedicated to our pillars of justice, sisterhood, and love. Our policy is now the model that other NPC organizations are talking about and beginning to match. So how else do we make our sorority better? How about we make it more kind? I am going to focus on creating partnerships with different empathy organizations to provide tools, training, and programs that will help our sisters be more kind to each other, to non-members, and to themselves. We will be leaders in kindness, and this will stay with us from the dorm room to the boardroom. We will use this kindness to create a sense of belonging for our members. We will set policy for how we treat each other, but even more, we will set the example for all the sororities in kindness and when it comes to our zero tolerance policy for hazing. And let's be honest, we are not alone in needing kindness. The world needs kindness, more empathy, more listening, more relating, more connecting, and we will be the catalysts for more kindness. I also want to make us healthier. I will work to establish the position of wellness officer on the leadership team of every chapter. This position will also be supported by education and programming that will help our women take care of themselves and each other, including aspects of mental health like anxiety and depression, body acceptance and eating disorders, drug and alcohol consumption and abuse, and other health issues our women deal with on a regular basis, often alone. We will make wellness a priority and bring resources to it so that we can better care for our members and give them skills to help them stay healthy throughout their lives. Next, I want to make Delta Phi Epsilon better by making us more available. I will lead my board in exploring our potential for opening chapters or colonies at two-year and community colleges that are located near or are feeder schools for established chapters. I believe strongly that the collegiate landscape is changing and that our particular brand of sisterhood will resonate and be valuable to students who are seeking ways to come together in advancement of our values at commuter schools where community is difficult to build, or at junior colleges where the leadership and management skills we develop in our women will enable them to thrive as they move on to the next 2 years and beyond. We're going to be pioneers in this effort. I believe we must explore this path because I believe it may be key to our next generation and our very survival, and because I think it's another great path to diversity. I also want to make us better by being inspired to action for social justice. I will support and am driving currently the programming of special events and interactions for our membership, both collegiate and alums. We have always offered fantastic programs at our International Leadership Forum with speakers and ideas that inspire members of all ages and stages of life. Why wait 2 years? We will kick this new social justice program off with an exclusive to DPHI screening of the documentary Capturing the Flag, a nonpartisan film produced and directed by some very smart women, and it focuses on voter suppression. As we mark the 100th anniversary of suffrage, this is a great topic for our women to consider. What's the value of our voice? And what's the importance of the voice we fought so hard to win? I always marvel that our founders, suffragettes themselves, were becoming lawyers in the years before women even had the right to vote. DPHI will be sharing the information about our exclusive screening rights, followed by a special Zoom discussion session for DPHers only with the director, producers, and lead figures in the film. And this is just the first of what we promise will be many compelling and exclusive events highlighting different social justice initiatives in the coming months and years. This first one, next month. You'll hear about it soon. So those are my big ideas, and I have to say, when I come to this role with big ideas, I come to this role with a remarkable support system. I get to work with Nicole DeFeo, a brilliant, strategic, and fearless leader, and with Jessie Sheridan, our Chief Operating Officer, who is calmly overflowing with ideas and gumption to make things happen, as well as the rest of the fantastic staff at IHQ. I also get to work with my amazing board alongside our creative, innovative, and inspirational Vice President Lisa Condon and my very best friend, General Member Hillary Horlock. Hillary became an alumni initiate of D-Phi 4 years ago with the goal of joining me in service to the sorority. Because she's Canadian, she reminds us regularly to think beyond the American borders when we consider policies. And because she's Canadian, she's also just so darn nice. Her friendship is a treasure. I also can count on my sisters from Gamma chapter of the 1980s who have pledged their support to me, to the sorority, to our chapter at Syracuse University. A few have recently stepped up as chapter advisors, and all of them have promised to help me whenever I need them, just like 40 years ago. Especially my big Maria Lacentra Van Warner and my little Karen Kalp Burrell. Lucky me, I also have my mom, Toby Tamarkin, a longtime member of the Ed Foundation board as my role model. She is a force of nature. She essentially sparkles with electricity and glitz as she accomplishes every single thing on her very impressive list that she sets out to do. And she does a lot. I mean, she's a PhD and a professional boxing judge. I have a lot to live up to. I also have my legacy idol, Cousin Roz, and my dear Auntie Diane, who could teach everyone in the world a thing or two about kindness. I have my sister Dawn, who I forgive for being a Delta Gamma, as a treasured source of love and support. I am grateful for my sons, Elliot and Anthony, who did not join fraternities, but exceed every other dream I could have for them. And finally, my husband Tom. He makes all things possible. I would absolutely not be in a position today to serve without having him in my life for almost 30 years. His counsel is always valuable, his support is unwavering, and his love is truly fortifying. So there you have it. My plan for the next biennium is for Delta Phi Epsilon to do so much more than just survive this challenging period. I will do everything in my power for us to become even stronger and more admired as we reveal our true nature, as we esse quam videre, what we already are. The most inclusive, progressive, trailblazing, just, and loving sisterhood. Thank you for this opportunity.